Let's get right into it. Number 9. Asbestos insulation. Not long ago, you could find asbestos everywhere. It was in the walls, in the ceiling, wrapped around pipes, even in the floor tiles. People thought it was a miracle material. This stuff was amazing at keeping homes warm in winter and cool in summer. It could handle heat that would melt most other materials. You could literally throw it in a fire and it wouldn't burn. It was cheap, and it was basically the perfect insulation material. Companies were putting it in everything. Schools, hospitals, homes. If it needed insulation, it got asbestos. But those tiny asbestos fibers are like microscopic daggers. When they get into your lungs, they don't come out, ever. They just sit there, slowly cutting into your lung tissue. You could be breathing in these fibers today and not get sick until your retirement party. By the 1970s, doctors noticed something strange. A lot of people who worked with asbestos were getting this rare type of cancer called mesothelioma, and it wasn't just the workers. Their families were getting sick too. These workers would come home with asbestos fibers on their clothes. Their kids would run up to hug them and breathe in the deadly fibers. The companies that made asbestos products knew about the dangers since the 1930s, but they kept quiet because of profits. Today, asbestos is banned in most countries, but it's still in millions of old buildings. Number 8. Arsenic-Laced Green Dye. Back in the 1800s, everyone was obsessed with this stunning green color called Scheele's green. It was everywhere. Wallpaper, dresses, fake flowers, children's toys. This wasn't just any green. It was the most vibrant, beautiful green anyone had ever seen. Think about the most eye-catching green you've ever spotted in nature, and make it even brighter. But there was just one tiny problem. It was packed with arsenic. The Victorians were putting this stuff everywhere. They even used it to color candies and cake decorations. When these wallpapers got damp or moldy, they would release arsenic gas into the air. People started getting mysteriously sick. Children in green wallpapered nurseries would waste away for no apparent reason. Women wearing green dresses developed strange rashes. Factory workers making the dye didn't last long. Even after people figured out it was toxic, some still kept using it. They thought looking fashionable was worth the risk of death. Number 7. Nitrate film. Early movies were shot on something called nitrate film, and this stuff wasn't just flammable, it was basically explosive. It's made from the same stuff they use in gunpowder. This film could catch fire just by sitting there. No matches needed, no spark required, just leave it in a warm place and it would spontaneously combust. And when it caught fire, it was unstoppable. Regular fire needs oxygen to keep burning, not nitrate film. This stuff makes its own oxygen while it burns. You can't put it out with water. You can't smother it. It keeps burning underwater. In 1937, a film storage facility in New Jersey caught fire. The firefighters tried everything they could, but the nitrate film just kept burning, releasing toxic gases that could knock you out in seconds. This was the industry standard for over 50 years. Every classic film from the early days of Hollywood was shot on what was essentially a long strip of dormant explosives. We've lost about 75% of all silent films made before 1929, most of them self-destructed in storage, just sitting there, slowly decomposing until they burst into flames. By the 1950s, they switched to safety film, but some old nitrate films still exist. Film archives have to store them in special bunkers like nuclear waste. Number 6. Silver-Mercury dental fillings. Dentists have been putting literal mercury in people's mouths for over 150 years. These fillings are called dental amalgams, made of 50% mercury mixed with silver, copper, and other metals. Mercury is the same substance that made hat makers go mad in the 1800s. But dentists insisted this mercury was different. These fillings were popular because they were cheap, strong, and lasted forever. They were the Nokia phones of dental work. Scientists discovered these fillings slowly release mercury vapor over time. It's like having a tiny toxic factory in your mouth, working 24/7. Every time you chew, grind your teeth, or drink hot coffee, you're getting a little puff of mercury vapor. People reported memory problems, tremors, and chronic fatigue. Some dentists started calling themselves mercury-free and made a business removing these fillings. But removing them was its own horror show. The process of drilling out an amalgam filling releases more mercury vapor than leaving it in. Dentists wear hazmat suits to remove fillings and treat the material like nuclear waste. The removed fillings are classified as toxic waste. The same material they put in your mouth is considered too dangerous to throw in a regular trash can. Today, most dentists use white composite fillings, not because they admitted mercury might be dangerous, but because people wanted their fillings to match their teeth. Number 5. Phen-Fen weight loss drug. The 1990s saw doctors write over 18 million prescriptions for a diet pill called Phen-Fen. It was actually 2 drugs combined, phentermine and phenfluramine. The drug worked by tricking your brain into thinking you're full. At first, the results were incredible. People were losing weight faster than ever before. The before and after photos looked like magic. Doctors were prescribing it like candy. Then patients started showing up in hospitals with failing hearts. The valves in their hearts were turning into a weird, glistening white material. The drug was making people's heart valves leak. Some people developed pulmonary hypertension. The blood pressure in their lungs went dangerously high. It was like trying to push a watermelon through a garden hose. Doctors discovered that up to 30% of people taking Phen-Fen had heart valve damage. That's 1 in 3 people. The FDA pulled phenfluramine off the market, but millions had already taken it. Some needed heart surgery. Others still deal with health problems today. The company ended up paying over $13 billion in legal settlements. Number 4. Rigid steering columns. Imagine driving down the road in a 1950s car. That steering wheel in front of you isn't your friend. It's a metal spear aimed right at your chest. For about 50 years, cars had rigid metal steering columns. They were solid metal poles going straight from the steering wheel to the engine. Engineers thought this was great because it was simple and cheap. In a crash, the engine would get pushed back towards the driver. This would force that rigid steering column straight into the driver's chest like a lance. You'd get impaled by your own car. Car companies knew about this problem since the 1930s. They even had designs for safer, collapsible steering columns that would crumple in a crash. But they kept using the rigid ones because it saved them money. Before collapsible columns became mandatory in 1967, about 1.2 million Americans died in car crashes. Many of these deaths were from people getting impaled by their steering columns. That's more Americans than died in all our wars combined up to that point. Today, in a crash, your steering column crumples like an accordion instead of impaling you, and that's exactly what you want it to do. Number 3. The low-fat diet craze. It's the 1980s. Everyone's wearing neon, hair is bigger than dreams, and fat becomes public enemy number 1. Scientists noticed people who ate lots of fatty foods tended to have more heart attacks. Everyone jumped to a simple conclusion: fat must be bad. Food companies started stripping fat out of everything. They replaced it with sugar, lots and lots of sugar. When you take fat out of food, it tastes like cardboard. Nobody wants to eat cardboard. People started eating these healthy, low-fat foods without limits. The package said, low fat, so it must be good for you. These foods had about the same calories as their full-fat versions. Sometimes even more. Because people thought they were eating healthy, they'd eat twice as much. Americans actually got fatter during the low-fat craze. We later found out that some fats are actually good for you. Avocados, nuts, olive oil help your brain, your heart, and can even help you lose weight. Meanwhile, all that added sugar they used to replace fat was making everyone sick. An experiment where 300 million Americans were the lab rats. Today, some people still grab the low-fat yogurt at the store, not realizing it has more sugar than a candy bar. Number 2. Polycarbonate baby bottles, BPA. These clear, hard plastic baby bottles were secretly poisoning an entire generation of babies. They were made with something called BPA. Back in the day, these bottles were everywhere. Hospitals gave them out. Parents loved them. They seemed perfect. They were clear. They didn't break when dropped. And they were cheap to make. But they were feeding babies a hormone-disrupting chemical with every meal. When these bottles got hot from warming up milk, they released BPA into whatever was inside them. And BPA isn't just any chemical. It acts like estrogen in your body. Every bottle feeding was essentially giving babies hormone pills. The effects ranged from early puberty to behavior problems. Some studies even linked it to cancer and heart disease later in life. But the health risks had been known since the 1930s. But nobody did anything about it until the 2000s, when parents started demanding BPA-free bottles. Every bottle suddenly had a BPA-free sticker, like a guilty friend overcompensating. BPA is still found in canned food linings, receipts, and dental sealants. Number 1. Routine childhood tonsillectomies. In the 1950s, getting your tonsils removed was like getting a haircut. Everyone did it. By 1960, it was the most common surgery in America. The logic was simple. Tonsils can get infected, so let's just remove them before they cause trouble. But those tonsils were actually doing something important. They're part of your immune system, like tiny bouncers guarding the entrance to your throat. Without them, some people started getting sick more often. The surgery itself wasn't harmless either. Some kids ended up with complications like bleeding, infections, and changes in their voice. Today, doctors only recommend tonsil removal for serious cases. You need to have at least 7 throat infections in 1 year, or your tonsils need to be so big they're blocking your breathing. Most of those millions of kids who got their tonsils removed just because it was trendy never needed the surgery at all. It's like the medical equivalent of getting a mullet because everyone else was doing it. Only instead of just having embarrassing photos, you're missing a piece of your immune system. That's all for today. I'll be making similar videos in the future. Subscribe to see them.